What is up, my friends? So, we are talking about threads. I showed you some good thread examples from other people, but I want to go over some of my threads and the thought process behind them and kind of clear the air a bit because we've talked about newsletters, we've talked about threads, we've talked about tweets, or we're going to talk about tweets. And we're eventually going to iterate on our own content creation process in one of the last modules, but I just want to show you this because inspiration, examples is just a good way of explaining things and making connections to the theory and concepts that we've been learning. So here I had just an idea, right? This came from reading the book Flow because consumption is important. And he talked about his flow model, right? So that gave me an idea of, okay, yeah, people aren't doing things like, I wanted to paint this example. It was a cool concept, and so I wrote a thread on it, and I gave him credit for that. So the whole thing, if you were bored, anxious, or losing the spark of passion you had, there are three solutions, right? Straight to the point, big problems here. I like to do things in rules of three, where it's like 1, 2, 3. I do that in tweets a lot just because it flows. There's rhythm to it. And then there are three solutions. So there's a number which catches some attention. I'm kind of calling them out by saying, if you are bored, that's my target audience with this thread specifically. And there are three solutions. So it's kind of implying that it's easy to get the result. But then you can start to see here how I structure these individually. These can be retweeted on their own, right? And liked on their own. This is what makes threads different from other styles of posts, is that these are all individual tweets in themselves, and you should try to make them make sense on their own. So we go through, I paint the picture, I start talking about the problem, but I'm not just attacking the problem, right? I'm painting a picture. How can I get this across in a way that makes people realize their faulty perspective, right? So I keep going down, and you can always research this from my profile or anyone's profile just by searching it with Twemex. And so we go down, you can see how these are all well structured, spaced apart. I include a graphic here and explain it. We go over, I give examples. So again, examples, metaphors, quotes, other references. That's how you start to piece together a more credible argument that will stand out from people that are just listing things off, right? And so we go through here, a simple call to action. You can do these however you want, but thank you for reading. If you enjoyed this thread, help pass it on by retweeting the first tweet. And in Tweet Hunter, there's a way to do this where if you were to write a thread, then you'd like write the hook, and then you write the thread like this. Pretty simple. But then it says down here, add tweet to insert the first tweet of your thread. So in the last one, where you say, thank you for reading, please retweet. That's spelt wrong. But then you just go like that, tweet, and then it includes the first tweet so they can go back to the top and retweet it for you, right? Because getting more eyes on it is important. And then you can go on to like plug your tweet or your thread and then schedule it, right? And this is all Tweet Hunter. If you're just making this in Twitter, then you're going to have to send the entire thread and then create another tweet linking the first tweet, okay? And so you can see I did that here, and then I plugged my lead magnet because I'm talking about goals, I'm talking about my vision, I'm talking about things that I've already built out and built authority on with this stuff, right? So we'll go through these, but they're pretty similar. I made this one from a video and got a lot of traffic to my video, but 7 books that will change your life that you've probably never heard of. So I'm making it more readable and attention grabbing by adding the parentheses, so kind of guiding readers' eyes through it and keeping it fresh in a sense. 7 is kind of my number. I use 7 a lot. I don't know why, it just always works. Books that will change your life is highly relevant to almost everyone, right? And It's highly relevant to everyone, but it's also attracting the people that value self-improvement. So they belong in my audience, right? So going through here, each tweet is a tweet, or at least the main ones. And so I structure it: 1, the power of now. Give a bit of context. 2, 3, context. 4, context. 5, context. See? And the next one, 7 ways to change your life in 6 months or less. Because this did so well, I knew I could just give some advice, and they did pretty similarly, right? And so then I give the strong advice. And once you go over tweet writing and you practice tweet writing, this becomes much easier. And it's also a practice of tweet writing. So you just get better and better with all of this over time. But you can start to see what I mean here. So this did well just because it's simple and it's working right now on Twitter. So very similar, 13 harsh truths that will set you on a better path than a 4-year degree. So I'm making a comparison. I have specific numbers. Harsh truths, people want to hear harsh truths. What will it do? There's a transformation implied. Better than a 4-year degree. So it doesn't take them very long. It's implying low effort. And that's really it. 1, 2, these just always work. The lists, threads always work. 3 habit morning routine that will build positive momentum into the rest of your day. So same thing. We can go through these all day, but it's replicable once you just get the structure down and understand hook and thread writing. This one is based on my story. I do recommend everyone write and refine their own story thread with time, because your story is an asset for your brand. It really is. It's how you relate to people on a deeper level and let people get to know you. But it's one of those things, like your authority content, and not really the things that you're coming up with at the top of your head. These are the things that you can repost every 6 months and make it better, right? So whether it be authority content, because there's only so many things you can say and so much you can educate people on pertaining to the basics or the principles. So you write that one time, and then when it comes time to promote, or when you just want to have another thread to write, or you have something new that you want to add on to your story or authority building content, then you can post it again in a new light, in a sense, and just minor changes. You can repost anything, especially when you're gaining new followers and they haven't seen it. That's even more reason to repost your best stuff. And so this one was good. I used a visual on this one. Again, it's just about getting the hook right and then just writing about it. And if it's good, it's good. And you have to get retweets on it. So we can go through these all day, but you can come through and search for these if you want. This one's an example of a tweet that consistently did well for me. It's 4 hours of focused work in 6 months will change your life, whatever. So I turned it into a thread and gave more depth behind it. And that would set me apart as opposed to other people who are just repeating the same thing over and over. So the next one, it's still the same thing for me. Once I found the way that consistently got likes, that's when I just milked it. Now, this one did less well because I'm targeting a more niche group of people, right? One person business model, not many people know of that. Multi-six figure, not many people will believe that. And that's really it. It's not super enticing, and it's not extremely highly relevant. That's why it didn't do as well, but it did lead to, did I sell something at the bottom? I'm not really sure, but this would make me more sales than a generic growth tweet. So this one did really well. How I turn one piece of content per week into a lot of money. So I have authority here and a random number. Creative income, again, more authority, right? Like this makes people want to understand what information I have that they don't. And it implies a transformation because this is something that they want. Make sense? So the rest of these, you guys have probably seen these, honestly, because these 2 threads are what I did to promote and establish my authority leading into this cohort, right? I've already talked about these things before, but there's no reason for me to waste such valuable information when I'm not planning on promoting something, right? So the authority stuff stays for when you are either promoting something or you're trying to actually establish authority. Again, with this one's pretty similar, and I was just following like a popular format that a lot of people were following at the time. So this is another reason to actually immerse yourself in Twitter and see what threads do well and then emulate that, or at least take the idea and the reasons that they are doing well and then create your own version with an idea and your own perspective on those things. So the last one, this was a while ago, so it kind of sucked. And I'm talking about a marketing strategy and people relating to product sales and high paying clients. And that's not a super beginner market. It's beginner, but it's niche in a sense for people that want to make more product sales or land high ticket clients, right? So it's just an example. And you come back and you iterate over time. If a thread doesn't do well, oh well, what are you going to do? You're going to write another one the next week. And then after 3 years and 157 weeks, you're not going to care if the last one, if one of the threads or 5 of the threads or 50 of the threads didn't do very well, right? So remember to maintain perspective, but it's a general breakdown of threads. Write some threads.